Broadcasting down in the bayou, it's Mark Out Mania, a podcast featuring two average Joe wrestling fans talking about the business they love and so much more. And now, here's Ryan Keefe and Patrick Fry.
And welcome to episode 14 of Mark Out Mania. Patrick, what's up, dude?
Not much, dude. Man, really excited about what happened at the Rumble.
Yeah.
It was an awesome Rumble to watch. You know, the last couple of years, somewhat disappointing, of course. You know, a few years ago when Reigns won, everybody was disappointed. And then last year when Reigns came out 30, everyone was disappointed. And then Randy Orton winning last year. You know, so the last couple of Rumbles have been somewhat lackluster, in my opinion. This year, nothing short of lackluster. The men's and the women's Royal Rumbles, both fun there. We're going to get into that today. We're going to talk Royal Rumble, obviously, the review. Ronda Rousey debuted the men's and women's Rumbles. Also, it's pretty much official. We're going to have Shinsuke versus AJ at WrestleMania.
Nice.
We'll dive into that. Also, the road to WrestleMania, the men's and women's elimination chambers coming up. We're also going to talk Super Card of Honor, the main event there, Cody versus Kenny Omega. Also, the state of the Bullet Club. We're going to discuss that as well. In the rumor mill, we're going to discuss, I think, Ron, you have a couple of things to discuss. I have something to discuss. What's the one thing you have, or a couple of things you have to discuss?
We got a feud, supposedly, that's going to be leading up to WrestleMania that could be huge. And we got the Jason Jordan injury.
Yeah, and then I got what we may believe to be Ronda Rousey's possible role at WrestleMania. We don't know yet, obviously. We've only seen her once, so we'll discuss that as well. Also, Cheap Heat, the reaction from Ronda Rousey. Also, you have, you're going to talk about, Braun and Brock had a nice little exchange, real exchange in the ring there.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that as well. And I want to give a shout-out. I'm not going to give it away just yet, but more than likely, you know where I'm going to be going with this. The early match of the year candidate. We'll give that a shout out at the end of the show, so stick around for that.
That's right. You can check us out on the internet, MarkOutMania.com. That's where you can find us on all our social medias, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Also, where to download the show. Also, if you're a Patreon supporter, you are able to listen live and uncut to the show right now. We have it up so you can hear all the backstage antics and a whole lot more.
You can hear me talking about all this junk food I have in front of me, and my fat gene is just, I can't resist, and so you would have heard me talking about that. Just cool behind the scenes stuff. So
yeah, you can hear us setting up the show. You can hear us messing up. It's really, really cool. And that's only $1 a month to actually get into that. So not only do you help support the show, but you get a cool little perk as well. Also, I want to talk about a very cool sponsor on our website, FireFan. If you haven't heard about FireFan, if you love fantasy sports, this takes it to the next level. You can play live along with your game. While the game is happening, you're playing against other celebrities. They got tons of former sports stars on there, actors. You can have leagues with your friends. It's absolutely amazing. FireFan, they do the NFL, they do college basketball, of course March Madness coming up.
Love it.
Yeah, NBA, college football, Major League Baseball, and a whole lot more. The cool thing about it is it's free to play. Now you can buy tokens.
It's like Fortnite. That's why I got Fortnite. You know, I don't think you've got on the Fortnite train yet.
No, not yet.
It's a new game. It's free to download on PS4 and Xbox One. I downloaded it last night. You ever heard of Player Unknown Battleground?
No.
PUBG? You basically start with 100 people. It's kind of like a Royal Rumble in a way, except it's a 100-man Royal Rumble, and the way you get eliminated is by dying. So, and it's 100 against everybody. You got to be the last man standing. You shoot out of an airplane or something. You got to land. You go loot these houses. They have weapons and medical kits, all kind of stuff, to help you throughout the game, and you have to survive, 100 people. It's really cool. And the Fortnite is like the lesser version of it because it's free.
Yeah.
I downloaded it last night. I think I played for like 7 hours. Me and Brink played for about 7 hours last night, so that was pretty fun.
Nice. So you don't have to pay for tokens. You can if you'd like, but you earn tokens through winning, through getting questions right. Like say you're watching the Saints game, and they're going to ask you, okay, it's third down. Who's going to catch the next pass? Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas, that tight end that has the 12-syllable name, Michael Noah. You pick Alvin Kamara. He catches it, you get points. It's really, really cool. And you can turn those tokens in for free merch and cash prizes. And their lead designer worked on EA Sports for Madden and NASCAR. So it's a really cool game. It's free to play. And when you register, check this out. If you ever buy a token, MarkOutMania will get a percentage of that. You don't pay more for tokens than you normally would. They're just going to give us a little kickback because you signed up under our code. So go to our website right now, MarkOutMania.com. If you're a fantasy sports fan, you want to take it to the next level, click Fire Fan, sign up under our code, and if you ever choose to buy tokens, we'll get a little kickback.
Absolutely, so make sure to use that promo code. But now it's time to dive on in to a lot transpired this week, especially with the Royal Rumble. Of course, anybody that watched the Royal Rumble, you already know at the end of the night, Ronda Rousey comes out after Asuka, of course, wins the Women's Royal Rumble. The two champions come into the ring. Asuka looking at both of them. We're thinking we're going to get a decision right then and there because we did get a decision from Shinsuke Nakamura right after he won the Royal Rumble that he was going to face, obviously, AJ Styles, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But then, what's the name of the song that she comes out to? I can't remember.
Joan Jett.
It's Joan
Black
Jett.
Hearts.
Bad Reputations.
Yes.
And so you hear Bad Reputations, and I heard it, and immediately I was like, I knew it because that's the song she came out to in UFC. Of course, I watched all of her fights. She was one of those people in UFC. You just had to watch it. Now she's in WWE. She's going to be one of those people that whether you love it or hate the fact that she's in WWE, you got to tune in and see because, look, she could bring a lot to this women's division. She's going to bring a lot of exposure. I mean, hell, ESPN, I think CNN, like CBS, like all these people are talking about it, and it's really good exposure for the women's division because honestly, they deserve it. They main evented the Royal Rumble with the Women's Royal Rumble match, which had a lot of great surprises. And by the way, the best looking entrant ever in the Royal Rumble, Tori Wilson.
Yeah, she was looking
Oh,
good.
man. Tori Wilson ages like fine wine.
And we talked about Designer being there as well.
Yes.
And he was marking out for Tori Wilson as well.
Oh, I was marking out for Tori Wilson because it was funny. We were watching the game at Brink's house, and you guys know how I am. I love the women, and they just don't really love me back as much as I love them. But I admire the women. I admire the beauty in women. And, each woman was coming out and everybody was asking me, oh, what'd you think of this one? And then when Tori Wilson's music hit, I said, I don't care who comes out after her. The best looking woman in this Royal Rumble just came out. And I don't care who, love me some Trish. But hey, Tori Wilson, my goodness gracious, Lord have mercy. She is just so beautiful, and that was my favorite part of the Women's Rumble.
And they said she's an online workout instructor?
Yeah, an online workout instructor. Huh. I mean, she looks the part, too. I mean, she's ripped up, and to me, she looks more fit now than she did back when she actually was wrestling full-time with WWE.
Now, it sounds weird, but I bet you she's got hella clients.
Yeah, I mean, I probably can't afford her prices, but just to look at her, I'm like, come on now. Anything is worth that price just to look at Tori Wilson, man. She is absolutely gorgeous. But as we were saying, the Women's Royal Rumble,
yeah,
it was a really good match. A lot of these women like Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks, well, I don't know. They did a 30-minute Iron Woman match before, I think, with Sasha Banks and Charlotte. And she was in there for almost an hour. So, and you can kind of go back and see times where Sasha was kind of like, just a little bit lost. I'm not saying she was completely lost, but I mean, when you're in there for an hour and you got different people coming in and out in a situation that none of these women have ever been in with the exception of Beth Phoenix. Beth Phoenix was the only entrant that had ever entered a prior Royal Rumble. And but I think for what they were working with, and then Alicia Fox got hurt last minute. I don't know who replaced her. We were debating. Maybe it was Kairi Sane from NXT, who looks really good, by the way. And Ember Moon looked really good, too. She had a great reaction from the fans in Philly. So I'm looking forward to seeing where this women's thing goes. And I think next year they can make the Women's Royal Rumble even bigger and better. Now that Ronda Rousey's here, because it doesn't look like she's going to be jumping in. Well, I don't know. I was about to say she doesn't look like she may be jumping in the title picture right away. She claims she's going to be here for several years, so you don't have to put her in the title picture right now. Maybe by the end of the year, she might be holding a title belt. If not, by the end of the year next year for sure. But I'm glad to see Ronda Rousey in WWE. I think it can only help WWE, in my opinion. I don't think anybody's going to stop watching. The only thing, in my opinion, that could bring her down is if she's just absolutely terrible in the ring. I don't think she will be. I think she has the athleticism, and she loves WWE. She's been a fan, obviously, her whole life. She always wanted to be a WWE women's wrestler. Now she gets the chance. This is her number one priority, I think, with the exception of the next few weeks. Obviously, she's finishing up that movie, but I think after that, we're going to see Ronda Rousey week in and week out, and I'll tell you what, it's going to be really fun to see what they do with her.
Yeah, I mean, Ronda Rousey's the total package. I mean, she comes in. I mean, obviously, she's going to need some training to transition from mixed martial arts to wrestling. But, I mean, she's a judo champ, so she's got grappling down. She's going to be great on the mic because she's a good actress. We've seen her in movies. We know she has chops there. And she's going to look great on the calendar. I mean, she's the total package.
Yeah, she is. And she's one of the, when you get a new superstar, obviously you have to work on getting them over. You don't have to do that with Ronda Rousey. I mean, she has the name and the recognition. But as far as her competing for a title, I like the fact that she wasn't in the Rumble. And I don't know what the planning was behind getting her to come out at the end of the Royal Rumble. I think the timing was okay. I'm glad to see that she didn't enter the Rumble and win it. And I like the fact that she actually wasn't even in the Rumble. All these women that have been here, let them have the spotlight, because if Ronda Rousey's going to be here for the next several years, I mean, hey, now I would not be surprised next year to see Ronda Rousey win the Women's Royal Rumble. That's a very high possibility. That's if she's not champion, obviously, by then. But, man, I tell you what, I just can't. I can't express enough how excited I am to have Ronda Rousey finally here. We've been talking about it since we started the podcast.
Yeah.
Back, I think, in November. There was talks of her showing up at Survivor Series, and now finally she's here, and we can talk about her being here now. So I'm ready to see her get in the ring, though. I want to see her get in the ring and start putting on some matches, and I think we may not. I have a feeling like in the short term we might not see that, but in the long term we're going to obviously see it a lot more often.
Yeah, and you were kind of talking about her stealing some of the girls' shine. Now, we'll talk about this later on in the show in Cheap Heat from fan reactions, but a lot of people weren't happy with Ronda stealing Asuka's shine at the end.
Yeah, and now I don't know what to say about this, but I feel like Asuka got her moment. She had about a couple of minutes. She was pointing at the sign and celebrating. The two champions came in the ring. Then Ronda Rousey comes out. So I think Asuka got her moment. I don't think she got the moment she deserved, but she definitely had a moment. And she also had a moment when Ronda went to shake her hand. She slapped it away.
Yeah.
That was a huge moment for Asuka saying, look, you're not going to come over here and shake my hand. So that right there kind of, to me, helped her develop a little bit, kind of slapped it away. Like, I just won the Rumble, and you're going to come out here and take my spotlight? I don't think so.
So what's the word on when she's going to declare who she wants to fight?
That is a secret right now. That is still a secret. The rumor is that she's going to fight Alexa Bliss, or I guess whoever comes out of the Women's Elimination Chamber match. But I think she's going to fight Alexa Bliss. And then
seems like the easier road, I guess.
But I think, because it's interesting, because I think they're going to have Ronda fight, a mixed tag match against Triple H and Stephanie. They're talking about The Rock being her partner. If The Rock can't be her partner, maybe Braun Strowman. But then there's talk of Braun Strowman fighting The Miz. And then now there's talks of a backup plan. If that mixed tag match doesn't happen, then they're going to do Braun versus Triple H, which means, maybe before you talked about a possible opponent for Miz. I don't want to spoil it. Yeah, we're going to talk about that later. But so right now it seems like there's so much on the table.
Yeah.
But I think the preliminary idea right now is that Ronda is in the tag match. So you're going to have Asuka challenge Alexa Bliss, and then I can't remember exactly who they had fighting Charlotte. I'm trying to remember. I read it the other day. I can't remember off the top of my head. I do remember at one time they were talking about maybe Becky versus Charlotte at WrestleMania. I think that would be a really good match, because I've said this once. I don't know if I said it on the podcast, but I've said it. WrestleMania 32, the triple threat match with Charlotte, Becky, and Sasha Banks for the Women's Championship.
Yeah.
Becky Lynch stole the show, in my opinion, in that match. That was a tremendous performance from Becky in that match. So she has proven that she can perform well on a big stage, and I think Becky Lynch, of all people, deserves to have a title shot at WrestleMania. Should she win it over Charlotte? Probably not, but I think Becky deserves to have that chance to be on on a WrestleMania stage one-on-one against Charlotte, I think they could put on one hell of a match. But at the end of the day, Charlotte, to me, is still the best women's wrestler that they have. And eventually down the line, we're going to see Ronda versus Charlotte. I don't know when. I don't know where. Maybe a SummerSlam. I don't know. But there's just so much talk about Ronda Rousey and what could happen and what's going to happen with this women's division. It's really exciting to talk about what could happen, and it's going to be very interesting to see how it develops on the road to WrestleMania.
And I like what you said about the possibility of Braun being Ronda's partner. I mean, obviously, it'd be cool to see The Rock because, yeah, he's The Rock. And then, of course, they had the moment in the WrestleMania last year. But if Braun is her partner, then you can start a feud after that because we saw in Raw, possibly there's some feelings between Braun and Alexa Bliss. Maybe Alexa gets jealous. She doesn't have the title anymore. What are you going to do with her? A feud with Ronda Rousey.
Absolutely. And like I said, right now, there's so many things up in the air right now. We still have, I think, about like 60 days until WrestleMania, something like that, maybe even 60-something. So a lot can change because we've seen before, a few years ago when WrestleMania came to New Orleans, it was supposed to be Batista versus Randy Orton for the title, and then the fans were uproaring about Daniel Bryan, and he just kind of got added into the match. So I'm not saying what they have right now is set in stone by any means. Maybe in about a month and a half, things will be a lot more set in stone. But what we do know is set in stone so far for WrestleMania is Shinsuke versus AJ.
Yes.
And that kind of rhymed, and that sounded kind of cool. But holy smokes, all I can say is Shinsuke versus AJ, and then we didn't really dive into the men's Rumble. We've been talking about the women's, and we'll dive into it after because obviously Shinsuke won the men's Rumble. But a match with AJ Styles for the WWE Championship, no less. I mean, absolutely. You give these dudes 35, 40 minutes to put on a show. And look, I heard Bully Ray say this on Sirius XM. I would not want to follow that match because, man, those two guys will tear the roof down in the Superdome if they just say, all right, you got 35, 40 minutes. You just go out there and do y'all thing. Yeah,
if they're the co-main event and you got another match after that, I mean, the crowd is going to be emotionally spent after watching just what's the word that I'm looking for? Epicness in the ring.
Absolutely. I mean, especially if they put on those New Japan style matches, that would be absolutely awesome. So that's set in stone. Obviously, we're going to talk a lot more about that coming up in the next couple of months. But the men's Royal Rumble, Dave Meltzer gave it 4.25 stars, which is the highest rated Rumble from Meltzer ever, and it really was an entertaining Royal Rumble match. The surprise, one of the big surprises was Rey Mysterio at 27, a former Rumble winner. Man, when he came out, dude, he looks phenomenal.
Yes.
He looked really good. He was moving around great. And I'm thinking right here in the back of my mind, I said, dude, this dude looks so good. Like, he could come back and wrestle full-time for WWE, have a nice little WrestleMania feud, and then, if he goes off, so be it. But I think he could have stuck around. I don't think he will, and I don't think he's gonna, but I think he could have stuck around, man. I had a nice little WrestleMania feud with somebody, maybe, or even go to the cruiserweights. I don't know if he's.
That's what I was fixing to say. A lot of rumbles on the internet is Rey Mysterio, 205 Live.
Are you kidding me?
Match made in heaven.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, there's your champ right there.
Dude, that is a no-brainer. I mean, you got to have Rey Mysterio, especially now because 205 Live has the new general manager now, and and Brinkman even told me he watched 205 Live this past week, and it was the first two matches because they're having the Cruiserweight Championship tournament now. And I forgot, it was Cedric Alexander versus the Grant Metalik, and then there was another match. I can't remember, but he said those matches were excellent.
Nice.
And so I'm hoping that even the Cruiserweight division now can benefit from this open title, and would love to see Rey Mysterio in the Cruiserweight division, obviously. But I don't think I think that was a one-off thing, obviously, at the Royal Rumble.
That's my son's favorite wrestler of all time.
What did he think when he came out?
We were both marking out like crazy. We both jumped up and were screaming.
Oh my.
It was an epic moment.
It really was, and it came out like at a good time too. He was 27th, so it was just really cool to see Rey Mysterio come out there. And then also another good surprise was the Hurricane coming out. That was really awesome. Yeah. He didn't last very long, but that was a cool surprise. Him and John Cena faced off, and Cena eliminated him. Also, probably tied now for one of the shortest times ever in the Royal Rumble was Sheamus.
He
showed up. He threw Slater back in the ring Everybody that was coming down to the ring, because Slater came out, he gets knocked out by Baron Corbin on the ramp. Everybody that comes out after that just kicking Slater, knocking him down, and he couldn't even get into the ring. He finally gets into the ring. Sheamus puts him in there, and then he eliminates Sheamus after Sheamus lasted about 6 seconds in the ring. So that was kind of funny too. But the Royal Rumble, actually on my score sheet, I got the entire Final Four right. That was very interesting. Reigns, Cena, Balor, Nakamura. When I saw those four in the ring, I was not only jacked up because I got it right on my scorecard, but man, what a fatal four-way match that would be. Like if that match were for a title or something like that, holy smokes, that would be awesome. So what did you think of the Men's Rumble?
Was it just me, or did it seem like Ziggler got hardly any response when he came out at 30?
Yeah, I agree with you there. I expected, because he obviously just walked out earlier, or was it late last year or early this year, and, gave up the U.S. title, and now he's number 30 in the Rumble. You think, if anything, he should make a run to the Final Four in the Rumble, and he didn't even last that long in the Rumble. I was somewhat disappointed in that. Was about the only bad thing, in my opinion, about the Rumble was the fact that Ziggler came out, and like something like that, you think that it would just hype it up a little bit more. The crowd kind of reacted, it kind of didn't, and then he didn't last very long in the Rumble. He didn't look very strong, and I don't know. It was just it was a wasted opportunity, in my opinion. Look, if you're going to bring Dolph Ziggler back in that capacity, and there was talk out there, what if Ziggler would have came out to Daniel Bryan's music or something?
Oh, snap.
That's what Brink had said. Like, imagine the heat he would have gotten if we would have heard. And the thing is, when he came out, like, we heard like a record scratch, and then his music came on. Like, what was the point of that? I don't understand. I guess they were trying to throw the crowd off a little bit, but imagine if he comes out to Daniel Bryan's music and everybody's like, oh my God, he's number 30. And then here comes Ziggler. Like, you just got handed the title of the best heel in the game today. I mean, that
would have been perfect because, I mean, we talked about it before. This guy has all the tools, and I think the fans are almost on the verge of being done with this dude because of the way he's being booked by WWE, and the fact it showed when he came out, and there was hardly any reaction at all. It wasn't like, "Holy crap, he's back!" It was like, "Oh God, this guy again,"
Yeah,
but that would have gave him the charge that he needed.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the thing. Like, that's what I was trying to say. If if you're gonna have this guy relinquish a title belt, walk away, and then come back number 30, at least have this dude make a serious run at winning this thing. He doesn't have to win, but at least make us believe he has a legitimate chance to win.
Yeah, Tim and more in the end.
There was he came out number 30. It was supposed to be the shock of the the Rumble. Oh my God, Ziggler's back.
Not so
Michael's
much.
like, I thought he retired, and it was lackluster.
Yeah.
He did not provide any kind of spark or anything, and he got eliminated real quick. I think Cena eliminated him or something. So it was a wasted opportunity in my opinion. But other than that, I think the Rumble was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, let's talk about our before we move on.
Our score.
Our score sheets.
Okay, our scorecard. So we did the NXT scorecards. Me, Brink, and Ryan. Brink got the highest score with 79. Ryan got the second highest score with 58, and then I stunk it up, got a 49 there for NXT. So we're going to keep track of these statistics all year long as far as the NXT shows and the WWE shows. So right now, Brink's in the lead. You're in second. I'm in third. And then our buddy Cruz, one of our Patreon members, he joined in on the fun for the Rumble, so I included him here in the Rumble. Him and I tied for the highest score,
nice.
128. And I mean, look, we looked at our card back and forth, and there was so many times that he was like, he needed this, I needed that, and it was, I think that the difference would have been the final points that we could possibly get. I think I had Sasha Banks in the final four. He didn't. That was the last points I got, I think, to tie it back up, because after that, because we both had Asuka winning, we both had Trish at number 30, so... which I should have never told him that I had Trish at number 30, because he's like, who's somebody that can come out at 30? I was like, Trish. And he's like, so he put Trish down, and so if I wouldn't have said nothing, I might have won the Royal Rumble, but me and him both had 128. You came in at 107, and Brink had a 95. So Brink leads in the NXT category right now. Brink's behind. Ryan, you're just in the middle of the pack, man. You're just kind of floating around there. So, but it was really fun. We're looking forward to doing the Elimination Chamber scorecards coming up. I think that sometime later this month. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head. when they're going to put that out.
And props to Chris Rocket from Mid-South Championship Wrestling in Oakdale. He shared something on Facebook the other day. I found full-size belts at a pretty decent price.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Like it was on Amazon or something? I think I saw that.
No, I think it's called like Undisputed Championship belts.
Somebody must have found a glitch on Amazon the other day because they were talking about the Universal title replica belt, and they bought it for like $35.
Oh, wow.
And
this one's like totally custom. You put your own logos on it and everything.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. That would be cool to have. So
yeah.
If we could, maybe one day we can get on that and we can have a belt like that to, put a... See who the scorecard champion is with the Markout crew here.
Yeah.
So those are our scores. Of course, we're going to keep those updated throughout the year, and that's just the first of many pay-per-views that we're going to do. But now, the Royal Rumble's over, and I was talking about Elimination Chamber just now. We're on the road to WrestleMania. Coming up is Elimination Chamber, and it's coming up later this month, and we're going to have our first ever women's Elimination Chamber match. And I'm actually going to pull up the match card here so far because some guys have already qualified for the Elimination Chamber. I think this Monday night, Roman Reigns and Bray Wyatt are going to fight, and the winner of that match will be. It's also Sunday, February 25th coming up. So it's
I wonder who that will be.
I know, right? Let's see. Let me go to here. That's what I want right here. All right. So far, Braun Strowman, Elias, and John Cena have been announced for the Elimination Chamber match. Alexa Bliss will defend her Raw Women's Championship against 5 other competitors who we do not know yet. So I'm not sure how they're going to do the qualifying there. I guess it'll be similar as the men's. But, the women still making history.
Yeah.
The first ever, they had the Hell in a Cell match. They had the first ever women's little Iron Woman match, a 30-minute match. The first ever women's Royal Rumble. And now the first ever women's Elimination Chamber match. And then the women's Money in the Bank ladder match, too. Obviously, they had last year. So the women doing big things. I'm looking forward to that. Also looking forward to seeing the Elimination Chamber match for the men's, although we have a pretty good idea who's going to win it. But things do change. I see Braun Strowman's name in there. But then again, look, every time Strowman and Lesnar have gotten into the ring, it hasn't really been pretty. And, of course, you got something to talk about that later. But it's going to be interesting to see. I think they're going to go with Reigns, obviously. And I don't know. I think it's time to get that belt off of Lesnar. He's had it for a year now. He's going to have it at least at WrestleMania. It'll be a year. So it's time to get that belt off of him because, in my opinion, outside of the AJ Styles match he had at Survivor Series, man, and then the Survivor Series match at SummerSlam last year. I said Survivor Series match at SummerSlam. The Fatal 4-Way match at SummerSlam last year. It was a good match, but other than those two, he hasn't really been putting on great matches. That Royal Rumble match was just not that good to me.
And, I mean, when you think about it, realistically, this is going to be a hard challenge for the creative team because how do you take the strap off of Lesnar? Who does it? I mean, seriously, who can do it?
They're gonna have it to where Reigns can do it because the last 3, Roman Reigns has main evented the last 3 WrestleManias. He's won the last 2 against Triple H and The Undertaker. 2 pretty big wins there, and in my opinion, if you have him go over against Triple H for the title, you have him go over against Taker at Mania. They could easily have him go over Brock Lesnar at Mania. So I think at some way, somehow, I hope they put on a good match, though, and I've always been saying it. I hope the build-up to the match is much better than it was a few years ago. That was just absolutely terrible there. So the road to WrestleMania, obviously, still, it's very early in the road to WrestleMania, so a lot of things can change.
Yeah.
But speaking of WrestleMania, the road to it, the weekend, there's a Ring of Honor show that has been announced the night before WrestleMania in New Orleans, Saturday, April the 7th. It's Super Card of Honor, and the main event, none other than the American Nightmare, Cody versus Kenny Omega. Ryan, I know you're all over that. What do you think of that, man?
Wow. The son of the plumber against the cleaner. It's kind of ironic. I don't know. So obviously they're going head-to-head against NXT. Our boys from the Pro Wrestling Roundabout went to the NXT event in Houston, Texas, and the pictures that were coming out of that event shocked me because NXT is such a great product, but yet the place was so empty. So I want to see the gates of both events and the attendance of both events, and I would imagine ROH is going to get the best of the both.
That's going to be very interesting. I like what you how they're going to go head to head, because after the last NXT show, a lot of people are going to want to go watch that NXT in New Orleans, because they set the bar high and they set it early here in 2018, especially Almas and Gargano, but then Aleister Black and Adam Cole, they had a great match too. So they are doing big things this year.
When we started talking about this, in your head, you didn't even say anything about the NXT match. You're like, holy crap, I want to go see this Ring of Honor match. They may have to turn people away.
They might. I don't know. I didn't read full details about what venue it's in or whatnot, but because I know the NXT show is probably going to be in the Smoothie King Center, so I don't know where they're going to have the Supercard of Honor thing. I think obviously where they're going to have it, the capacity will be much less.
Oh, yeah.
But it's going to be very interesting that night. They're going to go head to head in the same city too. I mean, good Lord, that's going to be very interesting storyline to look at as far as what's going on there in New Orleans WrestleMania weekend. That's going to be a fun weekend to be in New Orleans. I tell you what, as a wrestling fan, I'm really looking forward to that. Anything you want to add on Supercard of Honor?
No, pretty much all I got to add is when we talk about our next subject there.
The state of the Bullet Club.
Yes.
Well, I think you have some more thoughts on this than I do, but go ahead and
Yeah, obviously the Bullet Club, the most over faction in wrestling today. Kenny Omega has a lot to do with that. Of course, the Jacksons do as well, but a lot of friction here lately. As soon as, and you've seen it in some of their videos, Omega talking to one of the Jacksons, and he said, man, ever since Cody got here, it's been nothing but friction. The guy's trying to take over the Bullet Club, right? And now you see Cody hit his finisher on Omega out of the blue, out of nowhere. He sat on the ropes for him and said, hey, come on, man, everything's good, bro. Caught him from behind. Hit him with the finisher. But could this signal the end of the Bullet Club? Because we've seen in New Japan that Omega and, how you say it, Ibushi?
Ibushi, yeah.
Ibushi have reunited their friendship, and with their tag team, the Golden Lovers, could this mean maybe Kenny Omega just steps away and says, you know what, Cody? You want it? You got it. I'm going to go over here with my boy, and we're going to make history.
Yeah, because the Bullet Club obviously is a heel faction.
Yeah.
So, and Kenny Omega, in my opinion, the best wrestler, if not in just New Japan, but in the world today. He's up there with AJ for sure. And the fans are taking a liking to him. Everybody likes Kenny Omega, and he's starting to really get that exposure that he deserves, not just as a wrestler, but as as just Kenny Omega. And I think what they're going to do here, get him out the Bullet Club, maybe turn him into a face, and then next thing you know, he might be one of those. He's going to be one of those guys. He's going to be the face of the company, like up there with Naito and Okada. So it's going to be very interesting to see what they do with that. This is going to be a great match, though. Cody and Omega. Last year was arguably Cody's best year of his career. Last year for Omega, best year of his career with the Okada matches. So this match, man, to think this match is going down in New Orleans is really mind-blowing, because you got New Japan's biggest star, Ring of Honor's biggest stars, and luckily they're going to be coming together on a Ring of Honor event here in the States, not just in the States, but down the street from us over in New Orleans. And man, if I had the choice, it would be so tough, because after the matches that the NXT guys put on this past weekend, that NXT TakeOver New Orleans show is going to be fantastic. And we already know that Cody and Omega, you don't even need to build this up anymore. No. People want to see this match, and man, just going crazy thinking about the fact that wrestling fans are going to have to choose one or the other that night, and it sucks, but it's just the way it goes sometimes.
Yeah, you just put those flyers up everywhere you can, and people are going to be like kids in a candy store, and they're going to go to your event. Now, the other thing before we move on that I got to say about this is, can you imagine? And of course, it starts out with Omega and Ibushi, but then they start their own faction. But can you imagine the tag team matches that could come out of this, like Omega and Ibushi against Cody and Marty Scurll?
Oh, yes.
Stuff like that. That'd be awesome wrestling.
And that's what New Japan likes to do a lot. They like to do those tag teams, 6-man tags, 8-man tags, and stuff like that. So, a 10-man tags sometimes. So, New Japan likes to do that, and I have a feeling that match that you just mentioned, we're going to see that at some point very, very soon, probably in the next couple of months, because some of these shows, that's what they like to do. So, all right, on to, that's all you have for the State of the Bullet Club. All right, time to jump into the rumor mill now. I think you have a couple of things for the rumor mill there.
Yeah, definitely. I want to start out with Jason Jordan's injury. Now, it seems that it's more serious than it was originally diagnosed, and it's looking like it's more of like a neck injury now, and he's actually struggling to grip with his hands. Yeah, which usually means there's some serious stuff wrong in there. And that's why him and Rollins dropped the titles to the bar. Obviously, they're trying to push Jason Jordan really hard. He was scheduled to be in the Elimination Chamber match. Not looking like it's going to happen now. A lot of people were wondering, what's going on with Jason in the Royal Rumble? He's kind of lethargic. He's not doing much. It's because the dude was seriously hurt.
And that sucks because while a lot of people, including myself, don't care for Jason Jordan's character of being Kurt Angle's son, dude can wrestle, okay? Yeah. By no means is this dude garbage in the ring. The kid can wrestle. He's going to be a spectacular wrestler. He's very young. He's still somewhat new at this, especially on this stage. I mean, the dude's never even had a legit WrestleMania match. I think they were in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal last year, him and Gable, when they were still American Alpha, but, it sucks because, that's the type of injury you got to be very careful with. Your in-ring future always in question, and I hope he can get better, and I hope he can come back, and I hope that they can do a better job of booking him as far as a storyline, because the whole Kurt Angle thing, in my opinion, has just flopped, and I don't know. It sucks to see that he's had some good moments as far as cutting promos and doing his character, but it's going to be it just sucks to see, because now then you have the whole Shield thing that fell through, and injuries, man, they're just they're kind of killing the Raw roster in some places right now, so that kind of sucks, but it is what it is. Hopefully he'll heal. Don't rush it back. You drop the titles. Have Rollins can go do his own thing. Heal up Jason Jordan. Hope you get better, and be nice to see you back in the ring sooner than later.
And you said something about Chad Gable. Man, when him and Benjamin came out, crickets.
Yes.
People could care less about these dudes.
And those are two other guys, and Gable can wrestle too.
Yeah.
And they should have never split up American Alpha. I know the fans were not liking them, but come on. With these dudes' ability in the ring, you could have done something to help these dudes get over with the crowd, because in NXT, they were over as hell.
Yeah.
I mean, they were at one time the most popular tag team in NXT, and they get to the main roster and it's just a dud. I don't understand it.
I don't know why especially with Triple H having such control over both organizations, how the overlap is so terrible between NXT and WWE main roster. It's like, doesn't somebody have some notes they can pass along?
I don't know, and it has happened to a handful of guys that have come over to the main roster that were so spectacular in NXT, and they come over to the main roster, and it's like Ty Dillinger, for example. He's not doing anything. Then you also have, obviously, the American Alpha that came over, not really doing anything. They're kind of starting to push the Revival a little bit, I think, but so far. And then you have the Ascension that came over, not much. And who else came up there from NXT that really kind of fell? I mean, they've tried to push Baron Corbin, but the people aren't having any of that. Yeah, Baron Corbin's kind of, he's hit and miss at times to me. Oh, man, it's just... And then Neville kind of, didn't really work out too much, in my opinion. I mean, it could have worked out. They screwed that up, I think. But
man, that move that Baron Corbin does like 800 times during a match, where they slide out the ring and go around the ring post and come back in and clothesline you. I saw a big boss man do that in New Japan. That was epic. Like when Baron Corbin does it, I'm like, God, not again. But when I saw a big boss man do it, I was like, oh my God, because that dude was huge.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, this guy is an athletic son of a gun. It was amazing.
Yeah. The boss man was a boss.
Yeah.
A legit boss, like Sasha Banks, So, okay. We're in the rumor mill now.
Yeah. I got one more. Bodyslam.net is reporting that there's some rumbles that a Baylor Club versus Miztourage. There's going to be a feud heading up to WrestleMania to lead up to an Intercontinental Championship match between Finn Balor and The Miz.
And I am all for that.
Yes.
Because I think, after Finn won the Universal title a couple of years ago, had the shoulder injury.
Thank you, Seth Rollins.
Yeah. And after, he had to give up the title, he came back and he's never really had a serious title push.
Been lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, he kind of got lost in the shuffle a little bit. Now he got the Balor Club. He's kind of coming back, and he's starting to get his swagger back in a way.
Mm-hmm.
The Intercontinental title would be a perfect title for Finn Balor right now.
Yeah, especially him being a foreigner.
Exactly. And him and The Miz, I think, would put on a spectacular match. I would still love to see Miz versus Daniel Bryan for the Intercontinental title more than anything. I would not want to see Miz versus Braun Strowman for the title. I would rather see Braun Strowman team up with Ronda Rousey to take on Triple H or Stephanie, or just have Braun Strowman face Triple H one-on-one, which I was thinking the other day, like, where does Kurt Angle now fit into all this? Because remember, at one time, we thought after Survivor Series, we might see Angle versus Triple H at WrestleMania, but it doesn't even look like Kurt Angle will have a WrestleMania match, and kind of upsets me, but at the same time, we got more Kurt Angle last year than we probably should have gotten.
Yeah.
So I'm perfectly okay with that. But then that's sort of what my rumor, or do you have anything else in your rumor mill? That's kind of what my rumor mill is what role will Ronda Rousey play? I think the preliminary plan is to have Strowman or The Rock team up with Ronda Rousey to take on Stephanie and Triple H. If that falls through, Triple H is supposed to just fight Braun Strowman one-on-one, so where does that leave Ronda Rousey? Mm-hmm. I don't think she's going to be fighting for a title, so, I'm not sure what's going to happen. Maybe she'll have a match with Stephanie. I don't know. So I think right now the only plan for Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania is to have her in that mixed tag match, whether it be with The Rock or whether it be with Braun Strowman, but basically taking on Triple H and Stephanie.
Yeah, definitely the Strowman-Rousey connection, I think, makes a lot of sense because you can get both of them over. Mm-hmm. Obviously, they win the match. Everybody loves seeing Stephanie McMahon get beat up, and of course Ronda Rousey's perfect to do that. Because I remember when Stephanie tried to slap her and she blocked it, everybody was like, "Yeah!"
Oh yeah,
at WrestleMania last year. But was it last year?
It was a few years ago. 31, so it was about 3 years ago.
It was 3 years ago?
It was in 2015, yeah.
Jeez.
Almost 3 years ago.
That's the second time I said last year. That's
Time
crazy.
flies, man.
Yes, it does. But yeah, I think that's a perfect match to get both of those guys over. And then, like I said earlier, side feud. Alexa Bliss gets jealous. Bam. You got you some storyline right there.
There you go. And it'll be, like I said, it's always going to be interesting to see what they do with Ronda Rousey, because that's the kind of person, or with her in that case, you got to be kind of careful with, because there's a lot of expectations for her. She got the name, she has the recognition, she has the accolades of a combat fighter. So, going to be very interesting to see how they book her on the road to WrestleMania and even past WrestleMania as well. So now, you have anything more in rumor mill? It's time for cheap heat now. I think you pretty much have all the cheap heat today. I don't really have much on cheap heat, so by all means, take the floor.
Number one, I want to say with cheap heat, can you imagine the heat that Rob Gronkowski would have got if he would have showed up sometime in the event in Philadelphia? Why they didn't make this happen, I have no idea. That would have been bigger than Ronda Rousey, I say.
Really? Gronkowski showing up?
Yeah. Come on. In Philly?
Yeah, I know, but, man, that's just... I think in that particular scenario, a week out from the Super Bowl, I wouldn't see Bill Belichick agreeing to have Gronk go show up at a...
Yeah, but he's a rebel.
He is, but I think, and it's the Royal... I know it was the Royal Rumble, but, Gronk only shows up for WrestleMania. So
you're right.
It wasn't WrestleMania, so Gronk wasn't going to show up for that, but that would have been cool. There was talks about that. That would have been really cool, because I know Philly was hot that night, and they're still hot. They're getting ready for the Super Bowl right now as we speak in a few hours, but... Yeah, that would have been really cool. That would have been really awesome to see the heat he would have gotten in Philly.
Did you see the commercial that the mayor of Minneapolis did?
No, I did not.
It's funny, dude. He was like, we'd like to welcome, New England fans and Philadelphia fans. And he was like, just to make you feel at home, Philadelphia fans, we will be greasing our light poles.
Oh, wow.
And then at the end, it's an outcut. He's like, are we really effing inviting the Philadelphia Eagle fans?
That's funny stuff right there. Yeah, I'm hoping Philadelphia wins, because it'll be chaos in the streets of Minneapolis and in the streets of Philly tonight. So I'm looking forward to the Super Bowl tonight, obviously. But back now to wrestling.
Yeah.
So go ahead, continue with your cheap.
So tons of heat from fans and wrestlers from Ronda Rousey entering well, not entering, but being at the Royal Rumble and stealing Asuka's shine. Now, one of those wrestlers was Nia Jax.
Absolutely, yep. I've seen her tweet.
Yeah, she tweeted something out, and here's what I got to say about Nia Jax. If you think you're on the same level as Ronda Rousey, if you think Asuka is on the same popularity level as Ronda Rousey, you are sadly mistaken. You go out in the streets, you get 10 people, and you say, tell me who Nia Jax is. They're going to say, I have no idea. You ask them, who's Ronda Rousey? You're going to get 1 of 3 responses. Wasn't she that female fighter? Wasn't she an actress? Or, I don't know, but I know I've heard the name Ronda Rousey before. Everyone has heard of Ronda Rousey, okay? So, I mean, don't get your feelings hurt, Nia Jax. It's just the way it is.
Yep. They had a few people. I think even the Bella Twins got in on the action.
Yeah.
And they tweeted something about it too. So just some, obviously a lot of positive feedback. And there's going to be some negative feedback. But to get negative feedback from some of the women wrestlers, it's very interesting.
Yeah, so not only does she have locker room heat, she has heat with the fans as well. Here's some of the Twitter responses from Ronda Rousey. Remember how Asuka won the first Women's Royal Rumble, though? So, we're not going to talk about how good the Rumble was. Just Ronda Rousey. That's WWE for you. Sacrificing their hardworking wrestlers to put over a seedless celebrity?
Damn.
Golly.
Yeah, I knew there would be some obvious. I knew the second that there was the possibility of her coming to WWE that some people would not like it. And that's just the way it is, that some people don't like it, some people love it. I like it. I'm intrigued by it. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do. If they screw it up, obviously I will not be interested, and that's why I said earlier, they have to be very careful with her, because with her history, obviously, of combat sports and the way she kind of, I guess, exited UFC, it's going to be interesting to see how they book her, if they're going to book her as this unstoppable woman, or if who they're going to let go over on her, or who she's going to let go over on, or whatever the case is. So I'm just looking forward to it. We still have no idea what's going to happen with Ronda Rousey. We've only seen her at the Rumble. We have not seen her since. So I don't know when she's going to come back, but I think we should expect her back on a Monday Night Raw probably by the end of the month, maybe. So I think she's going to be done with her filming in the next week or two.
Right. You got people calling her a washed-up fighter. You got people saying that she's overrated. But this one right here, this one is the scariest tweet of all, because it makes me think that they could ruin this Ronda Rousey thing. And obviously, we've talked about it before on previous episodes, and we talked about it on this one. It's not out of the realm for WWE to totally mess up on this thing. Are you kidding me? Literally every single post is about Rousey, not about Asuka winning or even the first ever Women's Royal Rumble. And this is to the WWE. Hell, you post more about her than Roman Reigns. That's saying something. Ha ha ha. Ridiculous.
That is saying something.
Are they going to turn her off to the WWE universe like they did Roman Reigns? Because if you look at Roman Reigns, he should be the most over guy in the company, because he's got a great look. I mean, the dark skin, the tats, the hair. He's a good-looking dude. He should be the guy that you want him to be. Are they going to do that same thing to Ronda Rousey?
I hope not. And, they're saying she signed a full-time contract, which means she'll be there week in and week out. I'm interested to see how accurate that may be as far as a full-time. Is she going to be there every single Monday? Is she going to be there every other Monday? Because I'm of the belief that even though it's full-time, that I don't know. She was there for the Rumble. She wasn't there Monday, but then I know she's filming a movie right now. I'm looking forward to seeing what her schedule is going to look like, because if she signed a full-time contract, does that mean she's going to be there every Monday? Maybe she will be. Maybe she won't. I don't know. So we'll see, because with a star like her, and that's another reason I'm saying to be careful with her, because you got to have, if she's going to be there every single week, then you have to book this girl every single week against somebody, because she's going to be your attraction in the women's division. So you're going to have to use her, and she's going to have to put on a lot of matches.
Yeah, and she can't fight like Dana Brooke.
No.
Dana
Brooke, she impressed me in the Royal Rumble.
She's going to fight your A-listers.
Believe it or not, a lot of people I might get flack for this, but I was thoroughly impressed with Dana Brooke's performance. It wasn't a very long performance. she had the craziest. Like, she came out when her music hit. She did this crazy little flip thing down the ramp, and I'm like, whoa, what was that? And she had a couple of good moves in the Rumble match. So I think Dana Brooke would be somebody to.
Yeah, you're gonna get flack for that.
I know, but she's physically, dude. She has the look, in my opinion. I think with some work, Dana Brooke could be.
She'd just shut her mouth.
With some work, she could be a game changer in the women's division, in my opinion. I'm not saying she's going to be Trish Stratus or Lita or something, but she could be a game changer in the women's division, in my opinion. I just wanted to say that. She said Dana Brooke.
Yeah, now let's do some fantasy booking here. You're creative, and you're responsible for Ronda Rousey, okay? She's your girl. You book her as a heel or as a face?
I would say at first you got to book her as a face. You got to book her as a face because she's like in awe about. She's just like, she's very humble. Like, I love this. This is awesome. And at some point, obviously, if that wears off, then yeah, you can turn her heel. But at first, I think probably for the most of this year, we're gonna see a face Ronda Rousey. Maybe at like a Survivor Series or a Big Four event, we might see a Ronda Rousey heel turn. That would be very interesting. So we'll see what happens there. But in my opinion, you start her out as a face, and then you turn her into a heel because you don't have to develop her. Because a lot of people, a lot of new people, they'll come out as heels, and then they got to try and build them up as a heel, then become a face. But in this instance, you got to kind of flip the script a little bit.
Yeah, and that's a great segue into this next clip we got. This is after the Royal Rumble. This is Ronda Rousey on SportsCenter.
So I guess this is for real now, huh?
Yeah, it's for real. Yeah, I can't even believe I'm convincing myself right now. So thank you for reiterating what I was just telling myself.
How was tonight?
How did I feel?
No, how was tonight? How was the whole experience?
I don't have words at all. I'm like, this is the most overstimulated I've ever been in my life, and I'm still processing it. I mean, there's people behind me like screaming, and I've never been less articulate in my life. Pretty much. I'm so happy. I don't have words for it, and I usually have words for everything. This never happened before. I don't know. Next question. Oh my God.
So that was Ronda Rousey on ESPN, and I love just the passion and the awe, like you said, of the business. She is genuinely excited to be there, and she's pumped up about a full-time contract. And that's what gets me. I'm thinking, Ronda Rousey, you got the swag to where you can negotiate a part-time contract. You don't have to be a full-time wrestler, but she wants to be. Like it's almost like it's a dream to her. It's kind of like you can see the same love for the business in her eyes that you see in Bayley's eyes when she talks about wrestling. And I think it's fantastic. And, nothing but great things can come out of this if they handle her right.
Absolutely. And this is something she's wanted to do for a very, very long time. And, she took maybe a different way of getting here than your most average, women wrestlers do. But, she went the UFC mixed martial arts route, and she was a success there, and basically used that as a catapult to come into professional wrestling. And there's nothing wrong with that. I have no problem with that. But, this is a different, and in my opinion, what happened in UFC does not matter. You have a brand new person here. You have a brand new fighter, fresh face, fresh name. But everybody just knows your name already. Everybody knows who you are and where you've been. But as far as the wrestling business, it's a fresh start for Ronda Rousey. And look, the sky's the limit for Ronda Rousey. And she's only 31 now. She just turned 31 earlier this week. So she's going to be around for, at least, like you said, the next several years. And she will be champion at some point within the next, I'd say, 18 months. She will definitely be a champion, and I would not be surprised if she was a long-term champion. Right,
and one of the things she's going to have to contend with is, statistically, MMA fighting is way more safe than WWE competition.
Really?
Yeah, because obviously, you only fight 3 times a year maybe, right? And then a lot of the fights are over within a few minutes, right?
Yeah.
WWE, you're Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday if you're SmackDown, right? You only got a few days off a week. and you're competing in the ring for 10, 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Right?
The workload's going to be much greater for her now.
Yeah, exactly. And I want to give a big shout-out. Last night over at Full Throttle Wrestling, we had an injury in the ring. I want to give a big shout-out to Always Ready Cody Lane. Man, that was a great match with Gil Gracie. At the end, on the finisher, he dislocated his elbow. We originally thought it was a broken arm. And, of course, obviously a dislocation of your elbow is still extremely painful, and he's going to have to dealing with that and some rehab. But that's good news. And, man, we want to send out our thoughts and prayers to you, buddy. Speedy recovery, and we can't wait to see you again in FTW, man.
Absolutely. You have one more thing on Cheap Heat, the Braun and
yes, golly. Boy, I tell you what, this had me excited like a little schoolgirl. So, I mean, everybody's seen the clip. You get a stiff knee from Braun, and as you put it, Brock gets up and two pieces him.
Yeah.
And
two-piece white right there for you.
Exactly. And obviously in the wrestling business, you know if you give somebody a stiff knee, you're going to get a receipt. It may not happen in that match, but somewhere down the road you're getting a receipt. I don't think he saw it coming that fast because when he got plastered, he almost got knocked out.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
he fell to his knees.
Yes.
Brock had Braun fall to his knees, and I was watching the match, and when I saw the knee, I said, "Ooh, man, that stuck him." And then Lesnar got up, and I see Lesnar like start swinging, and Braun hit his knee. And I'm watching with Brink. He said, he said Brock connected with that. And then like I hear the audio go silent for a few seconds. I said, "Oh, Brock said a bad word." And apparently, what he said was after he hit Braun, basically told Braun slow the F down.
Yeah.
So that was just, I think, a heat of the moment thing. I did hear that Braun did apologize to Brock backstage for it.
Well, of course. What are you going to do? I mean, if you don't,
I heard he had an ice pack on the side of his head because Brock nailed him. I mean, dude, it was a nice shot from Brock.
Yeah, I can't remember. Maybe it was on the 434. I saw a different angle, and they slowed it down, and you can actually see Braun's brain being catapulted into the other side of his head. You can see his brain pushing on his skull.
Ooh, man, that was
crazy.
Nuts.
And I mean, what else are you going to do? You got to tell him sorry, because obviously if you don't, he feels disrespected and you're going to get another receipt.
I think that's why we probably won't see Braun Strowman versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, because Braun's like, I don't know, if I mess that up, I'm screwed.
Yeah, and look, and when Lesnar got up after the said two-piece, he had that look in his eye like he was ready to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so those two could put on a great match. But
yeah,
man, I tell you what, the matches they put on just at least one-on-one, and that one with Kane there, I don't know, they just were they're very sloppy. So it's a kind of a love-hate thing for me. I'd love to see it, but man, I would hate if it would end up being a sloppy match. It would just be terrible for those two. But man, Brock just, man, that was pretty good for what Brock did there.
And then Kane was kind of laying on the ropes watching the whole thing. And can you imagine what was going through his head?
Oh yeah,
holy crap!
Well, Kane's been there, done that. So Kane's seen just about almost everything there probably is to see.
He was probably
ring.
thinking, "Thank God that's not me."
So you got anything else
No.
on Pete there? Well, I think that's pretty much everything we got here. We're running short on time. I do want to give one last shout-out, though, to Gargano and Almas for their match at NXT TakeOver Philadelphia for the NXT Championship. A 32-minute match, by far the early candidate for Match of the Year. It is the first WWE match to get a 5-star rating from Dave Meltzer since CM Punk versus John Cena at the 2011 Money in the Bank pay-per-view. So kudos to those two guys. They put on one hell of a match. I watched it Royal Rumble morning. I didn't catch it that Saturday night, but I watched it later the next morning. Man, that was an awesome wrestling match. If you have not seen it, you need to go watch it, because those two dudes put on an absolute show. Yeah. And that's all I got to say, is because that was easily so far the match of the year, in my opinion.
Wow. So it makes me think, I wonder what rating he gave to the AJ Styles John Cena match last year.
I'm not sure. I cannot remember. I can pull it up real quick, though. Real quick. Give me 1 second here.
Because that was a really good match.
Yeah, it really was a good match.
What was that?
And that was at the Royal Rumble a year ago. Let's see. I can pull it up. I think I know where I can find it here. 4 3/4 stars he gave that match. So 4 3/4 stars, 4.75. Yes, Royal Rumble 17, John Cena versus AJ Styles. So yeah, that's and also a match that got 4 3/4 stars last year was the Fatal 4-Way at SummerSlam for the Universal title. So that was another really good match. But yeah, 4 3/4 stars, almost 5 for John Cena and AJ Styles last year. But they did put on a hell of a match last year. And but yeah, so far Gargano versus Almas, man, that was really, really awesome. So anybody who has not seen that match, you need to go watch it because it is easily the match of the year so far. Although we don't have a lot to pick from, that's your January for damn sure your January match of the month. Go watch that right now.
Yeah, and they gave him a lot of props in the Rumble too. He lasted a while.
He did, and I was very excited. I popped when he came out because I didn't know much about him before NXT. After watching him in that match, I was like, I'm an Almas fan. I like this kid. He has the look. He's, phenomenal in the ring. Mm-hmm. And when he came out in the Royal Rumble, I said, yes, awesome. I hope he does well. He did well. He lasted almost half an hour in the Rumble. So he's going to be a guy, I think, hopefully, when we talked about it earlier, the transition from NXT to the main roster. Mm-hmm. When he gets called up, I hope they use him right because he is an extraordinary talent.
Yeah, most definitely.
All right, well, that's all I got, man. Go ahead and take us home.
All right, be sure you swing by our website, MarkOutMania.com. You can find us on every social media we're on and places where you can download and listen to the podcast. Plus, be sure to register for free with FireFan. Remember, when you use our code, and essentially when you hit the link, it will give you the code. You just hit sign up. If you ever do buy tokens, we'll get a little kickback from that. And the cool thing about FireFan, they're going to start doing other games too, like viral video games that everybody plays, say like Candy Crush, like a game like that doesn't have to necessarily do with sports. So anytime that you would ever play a game from United Games, that's the people behind FireFan, anytime you purchase a token, we'll get a kickback. Mm-hmm. So it's a great way to have fun and to support the show. But as always, their games are free, so you don't have to buy tokens. Just have a great time. It's fantasy sports. You get to play with celebrities, your friends, everything like that. MarkOutMania.com. Just hit the support tab, and you'll see FireFan right there. All right. We had another great one on our hands. We'll see you next week.
Outro.
You've been listening to the Mark Out Mania podcast, a Lake Area Media, LLC production. The views and opinions expressed in this show are those of Ryan Keith and Patrick Fry and are not affiliated with any wrestling promotion or company. Follow Mark Out Mania on Facebook and subscribe to us on YouTube. For all Mark Out Mania links, news, and free podcasts, visit MarkOutMania.com. You've been marked.